Okay, so I'm going to get us underway. Sorry for the late delay. I was talking too much. Welcome to the Sunrise School Division regular Board of Trustees meeting for October the 3rd. My name is Paul Mang, I'm the board chair. And we are going to call our meeting to order at 7:09. And we are going to have O Canada sung by Cole Parvey School. Could please stand if you can do so. Thank you, Ecole Parvey School, for that. We have a treaty acknowledgement. I'm going to ask Trustee Dent to read out our treaty acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gift of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Dent. Before we adopt the agenda, I'm going to let people know that are watching online is that we have 8 of our trustees that are here. We have 1 trustee that is online. Russ Reed is online. And Russ, you need to join the meeting electronically for us. We also have our senior administration, Kathy, Jody, and Lars. We also have in the gallery, Serena Kloss, our MTS, our STA president, and we have Laura Skibo here. Welcome. And then we have the team of Parvey School administrators, Mary Jo Vorka, Chrissy Vizna, and Paul Schramm. Certainly welcome to the meeting. Thanks, please. Oh yeah, and we've got Stacy that I forgot that I better get kicked underneath. And Stacy certainly is our support, the board support here. So we have an adoption of our agenda, so be it resolved that the board approve the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Dent, seconded by Trustee Smith. Any questions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you. A reminder that under Chair's comments, it's please send all your questions to jody.deason@sunrisesd.ca. Name and address of the sender to be included in the email, and we'll try to get to any of those questions on question period at the end of the meeting. I'd like to open up the floor to share a story. Anybody want to share a story? Trustee Nicol.
On Orange Shirt Day on September the 29th, the White students created a banner for the Truth and Recreation Reconciliation Day by putting their painted handprints on a banner, and they're going to be hanging up on the wall somewhere in the school. Whitemouth School always had a mascot, the Tasmanian Devil, but they now have a live one. Before it was just painted on the wall. Now, so if you go to any of the tournaments or barbecues or assemblies, you'll see the Tasmanian Devil there. And if you ever read anything about the Tasmanian Devil, it's a very wonderful animal. So take some time and look at Google and see what the animal is like.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Now we're all interested in what this Tasmanian Devil looks like for sure. Anyone else want to share a story? Okay, I have a couple of, oh, Melissa, go ahead.
Last year, Oak Bank Elementary School had their students create shirts for Truth and Reconciliation Day. And this year, they were able to make one of those images into a shirt that they handed out to all of their staff and students. I happened to be at the school and was able to get one myself, so I wore that proudly both on Friday when the schools celebrated Truth and Reconciliation Day and on Saturday as well. Also, SMS had their PAC meeting. They are still looking for parent volunteers, so for all of our listeners, if there's anybody with kids at SMS, they are desperately trying their best to create this PAC, and they would love any assistance anybody's willing to provide.
Thanks, Trustee Rowan. Jody?
I normally don't have much to share for Share a Story, but I wanted to give a good news story. Way back in September, our ICT director, Gord Tulloch, found a wallet in our parking lot. He returned it, he handed it into the RCMP here in Beausejour, and we got a phone call today that it was happily reunited with the owner. So really proud of our division staff for doing just a good deed, and we really made somebody's day a really good day that they connected with their belongings.
Yeah, that's pretty special. Thanks for sharing that with us, Jody. Anyone else? So I have a couple that I want to go ahead and share. One is well, two of them are to the people that are here from Powerview in front of us. Kudos to you and your staff, certainly when your school goes into a lockdown. And do you know what, there's lots of anxiety that comes around, and the three of you leadership handled that very well and communicated with the division office. And I sat outside in my car watching as parents were frantically, coming to the school. But kudos to you for the work that you did, certainly down in a lockdown. Nobody ever likes those kind of things, but kudos to the work that you did. The other one is that I did stop in the school today as there was an in-service, because I was dropping off some pretty smelly high school hockey jerseys. And I heard this laughter down in our multi-purpose room. And that's where the staff was down there, and the three of them were running them through a kind of a Jeopardy challenge, but it was based on a number of questions that they had for the staff, which was just a great way of seeing learning going on, lots of fun, and yeah, it was impressive, so kudos to you as well. And the other one is I want to pay some kudos to Kathy. I want to talk a little bit about a transportation challenge that happened. I had a grandmother that gave me a call that wasn't very happy about transportation and not being able to arrange transportation. The grandmother, I had asked the grandmother, they had talked to the school, and they said yes, they had talked to the school, and the school did everything that they could. The grandmother then did call transportation and didn't get anywhere with transportation. The grandmother gave me a call. I said, well, you need to communicate with our superintendent or our secretary-treasurer, certainly to go ahead and do that. And once you do that, if you're still not happy, of course, you can come to the board as to where you are. Well, lo and behold, so in that time span, I got a couple other concerned calls from the same grandmother, kind of saying what's going on. And then I think it was last Monday, I got a call from the same grandmother thanking the superintendent, wanting to thank me to thank the superintendent, is that at that time it hadn't been resolved, but the superintendent kind of provided some options to this grandparent, that this grandparent was satisfied certainly with the process. So I just wanted to share the kind of a process that we went through is, again, Paul, making sure that Paul stays out of the weeds and doesn't get involved and really lets the people that need to go ahead and be involved. And you know what, again, thanks, Kath, for the work that you did on this. And you know what, again, something that wasn't, when someone first originally called me, to call me back, after the fourth time, a little bit happier. Kudos to the work that you did, so good job. Anyone else? Yep.
just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of the staff. So today was election day in Manitoba, and so all of the students were at home, but we had staff across the division who were doing PD Palooza. They were in every building and doing hard work and games and learning across the division in different sites. And so I know sometimes when we think about, well, the kids are at home, what on earth are all the adults doing? I feel like all the adults in our system are going home with full brains and have done a lot of thinking today. So just a shout out to everybody for the hard learning today.
Miss anybody? Okay. So we have a board delegation from the beautiful northern part of our school division where the sun shines all the time, and we love it up there. Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our crew.
Sure. They're on a time crunch, so I'm just going to tell you that MJ and Chrissy and Paul are the action-packed team from Powerview, and they're going to take you through all kinds of stuff about their school, and I won't take any more of their minutes away from them. Welcome. I always forget that. Like that? You can hear? Is that good? All right. Thanks, Kathy and Paul. I'm Chrissy. I'm principal of École Powerview School. This is my dream team. My two assistant principals, Mary Jo Havorka and Paul Schramm. We, as Paul said, have the privilege of not only working, but living in one of the most beautiful areas of Sunrise. I think some people call it God's country, just so you know. And we would just want to sincerely thank the board for the opportunity to come and share our story. Last school year, 2022-2023, we had two school goals relating to mental health, which were students of belonging, and the belief they can be successful in achieving their personal goals, as well as demonstrating increased skills related to resiliency, self-advocacy, self-regulation, relationship building, and decision-making. So pretty lofty goals. Why mental health? We kind of had a look at our data sources, and it was clear that students needed to develop a sense of belonging and a feeling of a connection to our building. Focusing on positive mental health was going to allow our students to develop strategies which enabled them to make learning a priority and experience academic success. So that was kind of where our beginning pieces came from.
Looking at the behavioral observations, in our school, our first step is just getting our students through that school entrance door. Once we do that, our second step is getting them through the classroom doors. So these behavior observations that you see above stem from a variety of mental health issues that are within our community and our students are dealing with, and all these observations are seen in our hallways on the daily. So these feelings are very real to our students, and we must acknowledge them as a staff. So every day we greet our students with these behaviors, and every day we walk these students into the classrooms as much as we can as an admin team and our staff that's helping in the hallways. And believe it or not, when we look at these behaviors, our students with the highest behaviors are the ones that are our best attenders. So we kind of ask ourselves, well, why is that, right? Well, because our building is a safe space for our students. They come to Powerview, and it's a celebration every day when they walk through our doors. And we just feel that what we do as a staff is we support their needs as best as we can.
So Powerview School has changed a lot in the last 20 years. And so when we think about what our dream is for our school, it's making our school a place where students see themselves reflected in the activities that we have and the learning that we do. We are committed to meeting our students where they're at and meeting their needs. And so when thinking about that, it's not only engaging our kids, but it's also engaging our families and our parents and our guardians. Because for a lot of our parents, their school experience wasn't necessarily a positive one. And so we want to make those positive connections for them so that they feel welcome in our building, that that's a safe place for them as well. So they value education for their children. And I think a great example of that is at the start of the year we did a Meet the Teacher barbecue, and I was cooking hot dogs, and I was like, okay, how many hot dogs am I going to cook? I cooked hot dogs for 2 straight hours. We had so many families rolling through. It was amazing, and I think the really neat thing was if you were to look out at who those families were, those are our families with the kids with the highest needs. And so it was really neat to have those parents come to our school. Those are the ones we need.
So our barriers are our community's reality. The fact that our students walk through the door, it gives all of us hope. Every day we encourage our students to show up despite what is happening in their life, and we take every opportunity that we can to invite our parents into our building so we can build those relationships and trust. The only control that we have as a staff over these barriers is continuous role modeling, kindness, patience, and understanding to ensure that we have this safe, inclusive environment where our basic needs of these students are met. And feeding our kids and our students and our families goes a long way when we open our doors, and we love doing it.
So we do a lot of extracurricular activities in our school, and to be honest, this is really important because this might be the only place our students are getting that. So if you look in the top left there, there's a photo from our K-6 awards in which every student from kindergarten to grade 6 in our school receives an award. And it's a personalized award based on the quality they possess, and they are celebrated. You see the smile sneaking out from that young lad there. We also, below there, you see the house rally of our teachers. Every student from K to 12 is on a house team, of one of 4 house teams. And throughout the year, we have house rallies and build community from the K to 12, from K to 12. So we have kindergartners sitting next to grade 12 students, and it really is that family, that community part where we have these fun events going on. And last but not least here, we have lots of talent development going on. So you have our bike club in which middle year students built bikes. We went for rides, and then in the bottom we see our snowshoeing adventure. And we're offering a lot of outdoor education. Part of that is we want our kids to get connected with the outdoors. It's healthy, it's activities that they can do in our area. And then also the hope is that when they are parents someday, they're going to take their kids to those events. So we have that long-term vision when we're doing that.
So obviously we do things for a reason, and we're in school for a reason, and it's about learning, right? And we need to, as we're setting goals and as leaders, we're looking at our building and what our kids and our families need, we need to have some data to back that up. Last year we did a ton of things. We kind of were still coming out of COVID. Our students needed to learn how to be students again and what that meant and what it took, and that we wanted school to be a safe place, a fun place, a caring place, but we were there to learn. In order for that to happen, we had to look at some of the data. So this graph just kind of shows some of our high school data that we collected, which is our attendance rates versus our pass rates and credit attainment. So attendance is directly correlated to academic success. We send that message over and over and over and over again, and we keep sending it, and kids are starting to see it. We saw an increase in our attendance from our high school courses from first semester to second semester. You know, it raised like on average between 8 to 10%. And then we looked at our pass rates from first semester to second semester, and that range was huge in the credit attainment of kids being successful in their courses, which then translated to them feeling successful and the belief that they could be successful. So MJ's kind of referenced some of the challenges that we have, and we don't just see those challenges in schools. A lot of our staff live and work in the community, and we see it in the community as well. And these challenges directly impact our students, whether we can pretend that it's not there, but that's not going to help anything. We need to acknowledge what those challenges are. Poverty is one of our biggest barriers. And looking at some of the 2020 census data, the average household income in our area is $30,000 lower than the provincial average. That's huge when we're looking at it from a school perspective. And how do we make sure that all of our kids' needs are being met? And it's really a huge task for us. So as a school, we work very hard to provide our students with as many learning, cultural, athletic opportunities, just so that we can level the playing field for them within the rest of the province. And those are some of the things that we do. I think another challenge we see, and I think it's been historical in Parview, I've been there since I was in kindergarten, just so you know, last year was a bit of an exception, but we had 134 new students walk through our door. That's 134 students we needed to build trusting and caring relationships with in a very short span. Not to mention that, all of the amount of time that takes from our office staff, our administrators, our student support, and our classroom teachers. This year, our number right now is at 86 new students in our building. It does balance out because we do have students who leave. I think the last data I did were plus 60 right now. And I need to do some finalizing with that, but that takes time. And we want to build those relationships as quickly as possible because we know that's what leads to students.
One of our student success that we want to kind of talk about when we spread our staff a little thin is our comm course, which was an addition to the timetable because our high school counselor needed a way to connect with multiple students and to help them kind of learn different coping strategies. And she approached us and said, can I do this? And we're, sure, of course you can. Let's try it out. So she wanted to try a course-based approach that would allow students to learn lifelong strategies to cope with mental health. And all the barriers that we have there, anxiety, stress. So she's like trying to make sure that she addresses all those within her course. And this approach is a way for her to help meet the student needs within our school. And it also helps manage some of the behavior observations that we're seeing within the hallway. So we really feel that this is successful. This is her second year running it, and her course, the increase of students that want to take this course, like, they want to be there. And you go in there, and it's very zen-y, and there's sensei, she's using smells, and it's like awesome work. They go on walks, they're connecting to land. So you'd really have to check it out to see, but we just feel that it's a great way to connect to our students. And we're going to
I think when we think about education, we like to look through the lens of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so for a lot of our students, those basic needs of, whether it's food, safety, those need to be met before we can really have our kids concentrate on that. And so part of that is bringing resources, access to things like healthcare to our kids. So a couple examples of that. One is our teen clinic. So we've been running a teen clinic out of our school for a number of years now, and it's super busy. It gives access to medical care, so they're there, and it's being used. We see that with the eye testing that was done from the Lions Club of Lactabani. And look at that number, 27% of our students went for further testing. So that shows that they're not getting that already, right? So bringing it into the school is important. And we hope to have the mental health teen clinic, which is in the way, it's on the way. And we hope to have that up and running soon as well. We know that bringing things to our students, that is successful. And that being said, even though all of these successes are there, there's still students that are not having their needs met. And that's just a matter of, we can only provide so much to the staff.
So some more successes are ICDs as our community-based connections that build trust and positive relations. So the first one you can see there, we have been using and will continue to use the Turtle Lodge as one of our land-based learning centers. We have Herman Hope, who comes to our school as a knowledge learner. That's how he likes to refer to himself, /keeper, along with Darren Flett, who both connect with our students at a grassroots teaching. Then if you look down, we have the RCM Partners in Reading program that adds to the community connections. We want to take away like those negative stigmas and experiences and interactions that our students and or parents and families might have had in the past. And this reading program is a true positive outlet where it allows our youth and our parents to kind of relate to our police officers in the community at a human level. And you can see the difference with the relation in the community. Our police officers know kids by name. They're in our school. They're in the hallways. They're meeting and greeting on top of running the reading program. So it just helps, again, let everybody know that we all care about building a safe community.
Right, kind of brings us to our next step this school year. So for those of you that kind of came and toured our school, and it was so great to have you there to be able to see what we do and kind of what our reality is. You would have heard me speak to this, that our vision is that every École Parview School graduate leaves our school with a sense of hope and a sense of purpose. And I think if we can do that, we've done our job as educators. We've done our job as human beings to help our kids have that positive feeling for the future. And that starts with the belief that they can be successful. We need to give them that belief in themselves, and the knowledge also that, because it comes, the belief that we can be successful doesn't come without the knowledge that we have to work hard for that. And it's not always easy. And we need to give our kids the strategies that, yeah, there's going to be hard times, and we need to be resilient, and we need to be able to persevere. And that comes from our staff sharing their stories and modeling. Not many of us had a straight and easy path to where we are today, and we need to be open and honest about sharing with it, and I think our staff are. We all have talents, and what we do really, really, really well at Parview School is we focus on celebrating the talents and strengths of our students and allowing them to showcase those talents. When I look to some of the students that you see performing, and I've known them since they were in kindergarten, and seeing them now in high school and what they're doing, it just blows my mind to be able to see that, and that's a credit to what we do at Parview School.
So I'm aware of our 10-minute time limit, but kind of one final story here, or two, no, second last.
Yeah.
Chrissy's is short though, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm very short.
So as referenced by Paul at the start, is we had a very difficult day on Friday at our school. We had a lockdown due to a potential threat in the building, and it turned out to be false. And this lockdown lasted for about half an hour.
Sorry, Glenn.
Oh, they don't have it.
That's okay. You
Okay.
can still share.
All right. I have some great photos, you can imagine.
Yeah.
But coming out of the lockdown, there's a lot of shaken adults and kids, right? It's a scary situation. And planned for that afternoon was our Truth and Reconciliation Assembly. We had Herman and Darren from Turtle Lodge joining us. They were going to be drumming and singing with student volunteers that had been drumming with them in the morning. We had student performers, so we had a student playing piano, a student playing fiddle, and a student playing guitar who I was supposed to play with, but wasn't able to due to the circumstances. But we went ahead with it, and after kind of checking the temperature of the building for our 7 to 12 students, and to walk into that gym after what that afternoon had been, and seeing these kids performing, which then turned into a round dance. And I have this amazing picture, you can imagine here, of everyone holding hands walking around the gym, the drumming going on, the singing going on, smiles on faces. And I think Christy said it the best, is that when we were handing out the letters that we had to hand out to every kid as they exited the gym with information about the lockdown for them to take home. Christy was saying...
I was standing there and, kind of checking temperatures of kids and telling them to have a good weekend, and they had smiles on their face, they were calm, and each and every one said, you know what, you two have a great weekend. And it went from this really heightened feeling in the building to just this feeling of calm. And that's, I think, just a credit to the things that we can do. Amazing things.
And I think it's that testament to school as a safe place for our kids, even when...
So one last story. This is my friend Aurelia, and she's a great example of meeting kids where they're at. And I think what her message to me when I took this picture is sometimes what we all need is that quick nap, and everything will be okay. Thanks so much for listening. And I'm sure you may have some questions.
Right on, thank you very much. We will open it up to our trustees if they want some clarifying or questions to you. And Trustee Harris.
Thank you so much for leaving God's country and meeting with us here tonight to share about your school. I'm putting on my binoculars to see what the little sticker is that each of you has on there, but I'm afraid I can't read it from here. Which? Oh, you voted. I thought it was Power View School. Oh. Thank you so much.
Questions, anyone? Ann?
So, thank you. Yeah, your presentation was really wonderful. And I have great feelings for your week last week, and I'm glad you're here today. So you mentioned about all the extracurricular activities, which look wonderful. Do you have, like, problem finding the staff to help with that, or is that a challenge for you guys to have extracurricular?
You know what, I don't think it is. What I would say is as we get new staff coming into our building, they very quickly learn that that's an expectation. And we invite all staff. Not everybody is going to coach volleyball, not everybody is going to coach basketball, but we always find a way for our teachers to be involved. It's one of our interview questions, always when we're looking at new staff and explaining who we are as a building. And that's part of who we look for in our staff, right? Or who are those, the number one thing I think we value is relationships.
Just one more question. Sorry. You have 134 students that are new, you said, and a plus 80, whatever. Where are all these kids coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of kids that transfer from Winnipeg, where families have moved into Winnipeg, then they transfer back. The housing market in Parview is, you can live very cheaply as far as other places in comparison, I would say. So we do have a lot of families that have roots in the area. A lot of our families come from kind of surrounding First Nations where they've moved into rented houses, and that's where I would say the majority of our families.
Hand in hand with socioeconomic conditions, right?
Yeah. Now, having said that, we do get 134 kind of in that beginning part. That would have been over the course of the year. We also do have families that do leave throughout. So we are still a fairly transient population.
I guess on top of that too, grade 11 and 12,
yeah.
we also have students come from Black River First Nation. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thanks very much. It's lovely to have you, kind of compress all of that in there, and it's great that you guys got to go on a tour last year, because I feel like they have a sense of what your building is like and some of the people in there. Can you send me the pictures, and I have an opportunity on our highlighter to include a picture, and I'll make sure that it gets some billing on the highlighter.
Sorry. We did forward a handout as well, which talked a lot about all of those lists of different initiatives we did and the evidence of success that we saw. So that was included. We just did reference it in our presentation.
Thanks. To put in perspective, 134 new kids and the school has about 440 kids.
Yeah.
So 25% of your kids are new. So there's a statement, 25% of your kids that are new that you have to have intake meetings to find out who they are, where they went, where their high school credits, those kind of things. You're going ahead and doing that. And that's not new, but 125% is probably new to my ears as to where it is. So that is a stress on your front office staff and you guys and as to where you are. So now I'm going to give you the opportunity. You've got 9 trustees here, and we're not in budget mode, but just imagine if we're in budget mode. I do give the opportunity to everybody, Chrissy, to answer this question. You've got 9 trustees, and you're telling us a little bit about your school. So what do you need?
Well, I'm going to say the obvious answer, right? We just need to be able to have that support for our students when we need it. With 134 students coming in, we don't always know the needs. Sometimes those needs don't show up until a month later, a month and a half later, and we're going, oh my goodness, like we kind of missed that. Those students weren't accounted for always in kind of as we've done our student support presentations and those types of things. So just hearing that message of, when we're looking for support for students, there is a reason for it. Second thing I'll say is we work really, really hard to find and keep good staff. You need to be a special staff member to be able to work at Powerview School. When we find those people, trying to help us with being able to keep. And I know there's lots of other pieces to it, but we work really, really hard for that. There needs that
I think when you look at, like just some of the staffing resource that we have, the portfolio that we have one, resource teacher for our high school and one for our elementary. It's pretty bonkers the amount of work that they're expected to do. And so I think just
So I just want to say, you turn that off. So it's not that you have 135 more students, but you have 135 new students because you also lose 135 students as well. Because you also, so just for the trustees, it's not that we're gaining, you're gaining 100 and you're growing by 135 students. Your transient population is 135 in, but you have 135 out. Somewhere roughly.
Yeah, we balance out pretty.
Anyone else? Anything else you want to tell us about your school? I'll give you another minute.
Just in the fact that we have a high Indigenous population, in reference to how Powerview School to each other as a family, and when we think about the Indigenous way of being and knowing and doing, it's always family first, right? And we learn with our family and from each other, no matter what the age is, and that's something that we do at Powerview School, and we lead together as one in a partnership. That's another huge thing that we do. And bringing in our community members for teaching, no matter if you look at the sales side, from regalia dresses to, we had an internship making the wood carvings, like chainsaw carvings, which is awesome. We also are planning on teaching the drum here, and we have like a group of boys, and we're even hopefully going to get some girls involved in their own drumming group. So all those things and opportunities we offer these kids, it centers them. And we all know the drum and the Indigenous teaching is the center. And it's a representation of Mother's heartbeat, and it calms us, and it opens our minds so we can learn together.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, and I think on top of that, right, like we looked at that assembly the other day, how many of those students were our Black River students, right? And if you were to walk over to our Alt Ed building, which is a small little space, that's a lot of Black River students. What is the percentage?
I think I looked at it, it's almost 90%.
So these are students
At our alt program.
that are coming into our building in grade 10, and they have a lot of needs. And often we don't have the ability to meet all of those needs. We just don't have the hands, right?
And our Black River students, they want to be at our school. They had a community event on Friday, and a lot of them still came to school to do presentations, to be a part of our celebration. Their ability to feel safe.
Some of the students that we saw come in this year, just to speak to some of our Black River students, are students who have not attended school for 2 years. So they haven't attended school really regularly since they were grade 7. So they're coming in at 17 years old with 0 credit. And we're not putting them into grade 9 classes with our 14-year-olds. So they are going over to our alt program. And what Ashley and her crew are doing over there is they are giving those kids that chance to experience in very creative ways. And it's amazing to see how quickly they're connected with our building.
Last question, what percentage of students, MJ?
I would say we're probably at
Else? What? So thank you on behalf of Sunrise School Division for coming and presenting to us. We appreciate it. You've given us lots of insight and thoughts about the school, and nice work with what you're doing. Appreciate it. We didn't say you could go. We know that you have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Yeah, thank you. Have a good one. We have Serena and Laura going to come on up, and you're next. Come on up.
Love that one. There we go. Hello. My name is Laura Skiba, and I am the former PD chair, as I have made the decision to step down as PD chair moving into this year in the hopes of maybe filling a woman in leadership role and portfolio with our association. But as part of my duty, I am here to present to you our contractual PD fund as is stated in our agreement, or is it collective agreement? Yeah. So I know there's a lot of new trustees, but this is my third presentation to the school board, so I will take it back a little bit so that everyone kind of knows, and I explain it out as best as I can. So in our collective agreement, the STA is in hold and distributes out the $120,000 budget that is allocated for teacher professional development in our division. So with that, we have developed some guidelines, and within those guidelines, we have our rationale, which is that we fulfill professional learning plans, school and divisional goals. So a lot of the PD that our teachers apply for run around those specific areas. Another part of it is to be more effective in addressing classroom diversity. So we can see some of our teachers are looking at ways that they can improve or increase their knowledge and understanding of classroom diversity and how to approach that with different strategies. Of course, there's our students, support students with their individual needs, professional learning objectives, professional growth in whatever area that they are looking to grow in. A lot of them are moving into our student support service teams as well as leadership with admin behind them. We have just the opportunity to learn new techniques, as we know that education is forever evolving. So this fund allows for our teachers to access funds to do that. Develop and enhance their qualifications. There's many new programs and things that are coming out that teachers are going to be certified in. Enhancing learning opportunities, of course, for professional commitment improvement, as is stated with our Manitoba Teachers Society in our professional code of conduct that we must yearly professional. So just a little bit of an overview of the Contractual Professional Development Fund. It was created when the Sunrise School Division and the Sunrise Teachers Association collective bargaining in 2011-2012 school year. It is intended to stimulate individual professional growth and provide financial assistance for as many teachers as possible. Of course, we have over 400 teachers, and when we look at our allotments for those teachers, we cannot fund every teacher that amount. So it is a first come, first served basis, and we do try to stretch out that money as best as we can. All teachers except those on leave have access to the funds regardless of their contact time. The assistance will be used to fund attendance at conferences, seminars, webinars, workshops, and professional programs organized by outside agencies. It can also be used to fund attendance for collective teacher initiatives, professional development activities, as per the guidelines. Some teachers use this for university. Some use it for, we just added last year a new category, which was professional resources, as we know that not everyone can access or get out to conferences or webinars, and that there isn't sometimes the accessibility or the provided to meet our needs. So we felt that that was an important piece to add in, that teachers could purchase resources that we would then fund so that they can do some professional learning on their own time at home. So there is a certain criteria that needs to be met in order to qualify for our professional development funds. So it needs to be linked to either divisional goals, school goals, the teacher's professional learning plan, or their teaching assignment. There are 2 layers. All applicants must have the principal or supervisor's signature authorizing the leave. So in order for them to apply, their administrator, whoever that may be, has to be aware of it, and they sign off on the application form. Principals, clinicians, and program leaders are required to get the superintendent or designate signature, which is always fun. And then, of course, the PD committee reviews it prior, and then we, if all is met, all the criteria is met, then we approve it. Okay, so our membership, the Contractual Professional Development Fund Committee, is made up of 5 members in a dream world. Up to 5. Yeah. There's the association's president and, of course, the PD chair.
Last year there was 2.
And you're looking at them?
These 2.
And then there's up to 3 members at large. So last year was very daunting and very heavy. The members at large are appointed by committee chair and approved by the council. As you can tell, as you might know, this is a lot of shoulder tapping and asking people to give up some time because it is.
It's all volunteer based. So the way our association works is anyone that does step in to help us out is all volunteer. They get no extracurricular credit for it. It's just all done because they feel that there is a need and they are willing to help with that need by giving some of their time up.
So the duties and responsibilities of that PD committee, we need to ensure that it functions, which when it's only just you, it functions well. You review and make decisions on the application. So I go through every single application that comes through that is emailed to me, looking that it meets all of the guidelines, and often it's not. There's a lot of missing pieces because there's a lot of requirements required for those applications. It's not just here's my paper and I am done. They have to provide with costs. They have to provide brochures. They have to make sure that the application is signed, that it's dated, that it's
provided prior to the PD, not after the PD.
And then we communicate that forward to Sunrise School Division where they would receive their funds back. So when we look at the categories and the funding amounts for the 2022-23 school year, in-province PD, if someone is applying for an in-province PD somewhere in Manitoba and they do not require a substitute teacher, then they are approved for $650. If they require a substitute teacher, they get their $650, but then we cover substitute teaching costs up to $900. So however many days that may be. It's up to usually 3 days. Out of province PD, so we do have members who do attend PD outside of our province. We have 10 spots available from July to December, and then we open up another 10 from January to June. Currently, we still have some that are not filled for term 1 for this year, but I believe last year we had almost every single one filled. So we had people who were leaving the province to go outside to attend some bigger conferences that aren't necessarily offered here.
And for term 2, we have, like
we're pretty much
Laura said,
full.
we had 10 spots, and I think at last count we have 9, if not 10 of those fully guaranteed to go between January
if those that are attending do not require a substitute teacher, they get $16.50. Now, that doesn't mean because they require a substitute teacher for one day, they get the $22.50 because we do cover up to 3 days. No, they only get the $16.50, and then that extra amount allows for us to cover the sub fees for those who might be attending for days that they're away. Our university courses, it's the same as our in-province. It's $650, and it's just a one-time per year. So it's teachers who are doing semester 1 and semester 2. We don't just go, oh, okay, yeah, sure, you can do semester 1 and semester 2. No, it's just $650. And then, of course, we have the new PD resources where we are, that we said we would offer up to $100, which would come off of the $650 that they are currently able to access. So if they do choose to do that, then it would knock it down to $550 that they would have for any in-province PD they wish to attend. So last year's numbers were higher than they have been in years since COVID, I will say. So we had 103, and then we had just 3 cancellations that came through. So it was 106 applications. In province, we had 59 applications. We had 3 people who applied for the PD Resource Fund. The out-of-province national, we had 16 positions, and obviously we have 20, so 4 weren't filled, and those 4 were probably, I would say, term 1. We had none internationally, so nobody left. Oh, not North America, because we did have a couple go down to the States, so my numbers are wrong there. And then we had 25 university applications. Some of the trends that we saw in the 2022-23, so these are the things that our teachers are going out and looking at. University courses, again, they were all centered around counseling, guidance, student support services, and admin/leadership, or in the area with which they are choosing. So if they're doing a master's, it was often in like sciences, language, whatever it was. It wasn't like outside seeking like, you know, going to be the next religious professor or anything like that. We have trauma, mental health, wellness, and emotional regulation. Those are always ones that appear from year to year. Music clinics and conferences. Our music teachers definitely access this fund regularly, yearly, and they do attend a lot of those clinics and conferences. Literacy was a big one last year. There was also some new literacy PDs that were offered in Winnipeg. I attended one of them. It was excellent. Then technology seems to be another thing that seems to be making a huge draw, and our teachers are going to those. Then physical education. The Orton Gillingham is also another big one. That one is huge this year as well. And then, of course, there was a restitution, and just looking at that and how it would work in a classroom. So those were some of the trends we saw with our applications. This is just our financial purchase. This is a snapshot of what it worked out to. So our MTS PD Day, we offer up to $100 for every one of our members. They submit their receipts and we reimburse. So we reimburse $10,595.10 towards our MTS PD, which comes out of our $120,000 fund. Our committed PD, which is some of these funds went unclaimed, meaning that the applicant did not submit their paperwork, but may have attended it, but just didn't claim it back, which we could see come out of this year's budget. So we had $69,078.06 that was committed, which really, when we look at how much was paid out, the actual, we only have about $2,000 of unclaimed money, which I'm going to credit Serena for, because Serena she was on their cases and she was sending out emails.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails saying guidelines say 30 days and it's now past that. Are you planning on seeking reimbursement?
Yes. So our total funds last year spent was $77,782.16. System some challenges, and as always, like to end with challenges and recommendations. So some of the challenges that we faced last year was that our guidelines were not being followed by many applicants, and I'm not sure if it was coming out of COVID, unsure of how to access the guidelines or what the guidelines were, or if it was just, it's an easy way just to send it off to somebody and let them tell me what I need to do because maybe there's just overwork, stress, I don't know. Sure, go ahead.
I'm not going to speak for Laura. This is coming directly from, myself. I do think that some of the challenges that we face as dealing with the PD claims does stem partially from teachers feeling overloaded and overworked, and they just don't have that time to read the guidelines. The guidelines are on our website. What I did last year is I took our 8-page guideline and I put it into a 2-pager Coles Notes version and went around and submitted that out to the schools. So then they knew the quick, easy, how much PD do I get? If it's in province, how much? If it's out of province, how much? If it's this, how much? If it's that, how much? Can I claim this? Can I claim that? It was just really quick snippets from the 8-page document to a 2-pager. That didn't seem to help much from what we have noticed because we're still getting the same emails come through. So I do believe from what I'm hearing on the other end, which Laura isn't privy to, is that the teachers are feeling that they want to give 100%. They're being asked to give more, and then they don't have time to do the other things. So some things have to give, right? And I know from personal experience it's sometimes easier to send an email or a phone call, hey, what's the answer to this, instead of reading an 8-page document. So I'm not saying it's all due to that, but I think there is some of it to do to that. Anyways, do you want me to continue? No, I'm good. Also, another challenge we face is that when we approve an application and say that a member doesn't attend, they don't let us know. So then that money is allocated, and then we don't know that it's not been attended, and we have to do the follow-up for that, and that again is time-consuming. And I did have 4 of those when I was doing my phone calls saying, oh, I didn't go. Okay, so as our PD guidelines state, if you don't go, you need to inform me so then I can repurpose those funds to somebody else that, could have gone to something.
Another one was late submissions. So in our guidelines, it specifically states that you have to submit your application prior to the event, whatever that is. We had a lot of, I had to decline, and I mean, application.
I had to decline.
Well, yeah, you formally did it, where we couldn't approve them because they didn't meet the guidelines because they were coming in late. And then, of course, it's finding the volunteers to step up. It's a very heavy portfolio, and doing it with just 2 hands, it is unsustainable.
So every PD that comes through, 2 eyes have to look at it. When you have a committee of 5, it's quite easy to have those 2 eyes. It's not the same 2 eyes over every application. But just so we have oversight and we have balances and checks, and we got to make sure that we are not just one person is saying yes or no, that 2 people do agree to the request. And when you only have 2, it's a little bit challenging that now we have to look over every single application that comes through. So we did brainstorm, and we've come up with some great solutions. So hopefully it will go a little bit smoother this year than what it has in past years. So I'm being a little bit tighter with the members, and our guidelines say 30 days. So you need to have your receipts in within 30 days. And if you don't, then you need to email me. I am going to do my best to reach out to the members that don't have those receipts submitted in to make sure that I can help them out the best I can as well. But that's one way that we're going to help in that area. Another one is to do online submissions for professional development. Because right now it's a paper submission copy, so they just scan the document, they email it to Laura and I, and then we go through it, and it's like, this one's missing a signature, this one's missing a brochure. So here we have a full-time teacher that teaches full-time and does the PD applications on the side. So she often will say, Serena, can you reach out to the member? This one's missing a brochure, this one's missing this one's missing that. from you, because I know that it's to do with the incomplete submission of the PD application. Even though it's everything on the application, it's a 2-pager, and it does at the bottom give you a checklist. Have you submitted this? Do you have this? Do you not have that? So our brainstorming came up with an online fillable. Just like when you go online to do a lot of other things, if you don't put this in, you don't move on to the next step. If you don't put your name in, you don't move on to the next step. If you don't upload your brochure, you don't move on to the next step. So we're about 90% there to have this form the way we want it to before we can put it onto our website. So then if people want to, or members want to apply for a PD in the future, hopefully in the next month, they'll have to go onto the website to fill out the fillable form. And then this way, everything is there, and we just look at it for the content. Does it meet their personal learning plan? Does it meet what they're teaching in school and all the other criteria that we have versus, is there the brochure? Did they sign it? Did they put in the money amount? Further? No, you covered the recommendations. So those are two things, yeah, that we thought that this is definitely something that we can tackle and take on this year to hopefully help the members and help the future PD chair that's coming in to just have an easier transition. Question? No.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from our board? Lorraine?
I have 2 questions. So the first one is, do you have a replacement already for your position?
Okay, so we didn't, as of last week, I believe it was the 27th of September, we didn't. We had actually 3 vacancies on our executive, and I was quite concerned. And I have been shoulder tapping, and I have been asking, and we had about 30 people in that STA office, which was amazing. It was quite a large number of reps that came out, and I just said, guys, I don't know what to do. Other than my position, every other position on this executive is volunteer. And I realize that we're all taxed and that we all have not just work commitments, we have home commitments, but I can't tackle my job plus 4 other roles as well. And I really need people to step up because I don't know what we do if these positions aren't filled. And I've had people reach out to me since then to say that they would help. In particular, take over Laura's role. I have one teacher, said that she will do it because she knows how important that role is, but she would still like me to go and look to see if there's others because she also knows how heavy the workload is to do this portfolio. So as of right now, yes, we have all the vacant positions filled. We can even add a women in leadership position. But there is that PD one that you did say, just keep your ears and eyes open.
I've also agreed to stay on and help. Obviously, I didn't just shut the door and walk away and run. I am there. I will train whoever takes over, and I will help. So I'm still there helping. It's not like it's just completely vacated and now people applying for PD are hooped. No, I'm still looking at those.
So then my next question is, what is the criteria as a volunteer? Like, what does the person, do they have to be a teacher, or what is the criteria to be on the committee?
Yeah, so they do have to be a teacher with Sunrise School Division. It could be a term teacher or a permanent teacher as of right now, and their desire, willingness to come and volunteer. The commitments are they have to come to our executive meetings, which is 1 meeting a month. Correction, 1 meeting every 2nd month is our executive, and then 1 meeting every 2nd month is the council. So 1 meeting a month from September until June is their time commitment.
Would you need the committee to be on, or the actual PD chair? Just committee. Okay, sorry, I thought you meant PD chair. The committee is, we will meet whenever we need to meet. I don't know, is it on one of my slides? I don't know that off the top of my head, on whether or not it has to be a member within our local association. So I'm not sure. I think it does. I want to say it probably does,
Yeah.
but it just says 3 members at large, which I would assume those would
Those would be
be
teaching
our,
Yeah.
so our clinicians and our teachers, anyone who's covered under the STA umbrella would qualify for being a member at large as a volunteer.
So it
on
wouldn't
that.
be outside bodies, it's all
And
in-house.
they just have to attend whenever we have PD chair meetings. And so, like, we always host one for processing MTS PD Day, because that is a lot of applications that come through the office, and it needs more than just, like, we typically have 4 of us going through those applications, making sure all the criteria is there, making sure that everything's met, putting it into the spreadsheet, making sure everybody is getting their information sent off to the business center so that they can be reimbursed. So we do have that, and then there are just like, I will be training, so there will be those, and just communication through email, back and forth.
Anyone else? Don?
You mentioned about Tom and people that were working for the division. What about substitute teachers? As you said, this is a very difficult job. It takes lots of time. Substitute teachers probably have more time than regular teachers. So do you allow substitute teachers to be on the committee?
They do fall under our umbrella of STA, so a substitute teacher, I would say, would be able to be a member at large and a volunteer on that. I think there's, it's hard to get information out to our substitute teachers, and for our substitute teachers, we do have, like, part of our council includes a section of, we can allow for one person who represents our substitute teachers to come to our council meetings. So it's getting that information out to our substitute teachers. By far, if I could find 3 people that would be willing substitute teachers, absolutely we would take them.
So to further to what Laura was saying, we do have, so based on your FTE in your building, how many teachers you have working there, you are allotted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teachers to come to your council meetings to be representative of your school. And we also have a spot on that as the substitute for Sunrise School Division. So that plus there's about 4 other positions that we just don't have enough teachers that are coming to the council meeting. But again, that's 4 that we have openings for, and the substitute position is one of them that I'm hoping to fill shortly. I don't have it filled yet, but I do want to shout out to, Kathy and Jason and Kristen. They were able to get me the substitute teachers list, so I'm able to reach out to the subs and hopefully facilitate better communication with them in regards to what's happening with our union and their union.
Robin?
Thank you so much for attending tonight. I don't know if you had to pass through God's country or not. Thank you for coming up. As the STA liaison, I look forward to meeting you next week. Thank you.
Go ahead, Don.
It's not a question, but it's an observation. I'm really surprised that you didn't spend all the money that was allotted to you. And I assume that you have a plan to make sure that the teachers this coming year would be able to spend all the money.
Our goal is to spend every last penny. That is our goal. I don't think we've ever, this is my 2nd year as president. I know we didn't spend it last year, but there was still other COVID stuff. But
we're still recouping. If you look out there, it's very hard to find professional development. I'm forever looking. I am a strong believer in professional development and developing. So I'm always looking for opportunities, and there aren't a lot out there yet. There's still lots being offered virtual, and I think a lot of our teachers are done with virtual, but they are slowly coming. Like last year, the one that I attended was the Reading Council of Greater Winnipeg. They do a fantastic job. They are going back to hosting their seminar that they normally host in Winnipeg, so that this will be the first year of it returning after COVID. So again, I see a lot more people looking at that, but again, a lot of our
outlets for getting the PDs. They're just not being able to get the people in or being able to get those opportunities here. If we opened up more seats to out of town, out of province, I probably could have money spent lickety split, but then that doesn't leave opportunities for others. So we don't want to drain our funds until to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to access it if they need to.
That is an interesting comment, what you made. It's an interesting comment that if you gave people opportunity to travel outside of the province, you'd spend more money. That's a very interesting, from our point of view, it's a very interesting comment that you made as to, so then people don't want to take PD inside the province. However, that's not what you meant, and I got it as to what it is, but it was interesting. Thank you for everything you're doing. Do you know what? We appreciate that. I too took a look at something that I was surprised at, and you can share with your members about this. MTS PD Day, you spent $10,600. So that's about 106 teachers, and we have 400 teachers. So it's either telling me that 300 teachers don't have the time to submit a receipt to you, and I hopefully don't think what the other 300, then what the other side is. So I think that it's great that you offer that part of that has been that you give dollars to people to go to the MTS PD Day, but the amount of money that you're spending on it, for me, I think is a little concerning. Go ahead.
Go ahead. We offer up to 100, but not all of them are $100 sessions. So that number that you see, I know that I'm not going to say that all 400 members put in an application, but it was more around the 250 mark. So,
and to add, I'm not taking away anything away from what you just said, but to add on to what Laura said, some are stage presenters, so then they're actually presenting at stage and they're not attending, so then they don't have to have that a cost. And I know some just, I don't know the percentage, so I can't give you an exact percentage, but I know some just don't submit. They're like, Serena, it's $40, I'll just pay for it. Why am I going to do the paperwork for it? Like, it's $40, you can go out for supper or do something else. Yeah.
Anyway, this fund that's been there has always been a great fund, opportunity for teachers to go ahead and use to do some learning, because we believe that learning is then coming back, and at the end of the day, we want to see student improvement, right? And the way that we see student improvement is, do our teachers, it's about teachers getting better at their craft, and here's a way that they can get better at their craft by providing dollars to go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, I'm more interested in is our kids learning, because if our kids are learning, it's really about how our teachers then are going and getting better at their craft, and they're going and better in their craft by sharing and collaborating and talking with other people at professional development opportunities. So, sure.
So just to add on to that, for the out-of-town ones, what we have in our guidelines right now is that any teacher that goes out of town for PD, they do have to write a report that gets submitted to me afterward about what PD they went on, what they learned, what they're planning on doing with it, how they're planning on implementing it into the classroom. So there is that accountability piece to it, where they do have to supply me with, what they did and how they're planning on using it, and kind of defending why they went.
I'm glad you said that, because we're always looking for, Serena, is what are we doing working? And is there learning that's going on? So Robin, he said that he's real excited to read, to kind of get that information back. Anything else for Serena or Laura? Thank you very much for coming and presenting to us. We appreciate it. And you know what? I agree. If you have the money there, I think the objective is, to spend it on good resources and on good, on PD that's going to help our kids, because that's exactly what we're looking for.
Thank you all for taking the time to let us present tonight.
So we're going to move on, and of course Laura and they're staying for the end of the meeting, I know for sure. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So we have minutes on September 21st. So be it resolved that the board adopt the September 19th board meeting minutes. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Melissa, seconded by Dawn. Questions to the minutes? Hearing none, will... Oh, sorry.
The minutes that I'm seeing on ESC are the finance committee meeting minutes, not our meeting minutes from our last regular board meeting.
Thanks for saying that. I did read the minutes. I didn't read them now. It's here. Okay. So we good to move it forward that we have the regular minutes there? Okay. Hearing none, we'll vote. Who are we missing? Dawn? You gonna vote? Past 9-0. Thank you for that. Kathy, superintendent's report.
Thanks. You have my report in front of you, so I won't go through each of the pieces. Some of them are things that we've talked about before. I do want to do the quick shout out about that whether I like it or not, the cold weather is coming, and we live in Manitoba, and we need to start thinking about the fact that we all cross our fingers and hope that there will be no snow days or no closure days, but we want to do that reminder about do some planning ahead of time. I'll bring the policy and review the policy at a future meeting and just kind of make sure we highlight that. It is here for folks to look at, but let's do some planning for those days in hopes that they don't arrive. I do want to highlight that November 1st is Take Our Kids to Work Day in Manitoba, and sometimes that's not just parents, sometimes it's aunts and uncles and grandparents and significant adults in someone's life who is taking a kid to work. So please make sure that you take a look at your grade 9 students or anybody in your life, if you're a significant adult for them, that you could potentially offer to take them to work for the day and they can see what happens in the workforce. I do want to give an equal shout out to what Melissa talked about in the Sheriff's story. Our schools are working hard to get parents involved. So if you're looking at a way to contribute in a meaningful way, get in touch with your school. It may not be on a parent council, but it might be in helping your school decide how parent voices and more communication might actually happen. Quick shout out to the group here. We've had great participation at our rural municipality meetings. That's coming up on October 23rd. We've been creeping our phones a little bit on the election and wanted to give a shout out to folks who are got their name up for election results. It's not an easy job to put yourself out there. So we'll watch our results for the election and are set to work with whoever it is elected to our area. I do want to give a shout out to all of our schools and our communities and our families, because last week we did a ton of work on truth and reconciliation. As Melissa said, we had students design their own orange shirts. We had Every Child Matters banners up on buildings. We had flags being flown. We had Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers and gift givers in our schools, in indoor and outdoor classrooms. And we had students who were experiencing a truly respectful and inclusive week. That should be respectful, not respective. I'll correct that. An inclusive week of importance learning. I'm thrilled and proud of the work that our schools are doing in this area, and I wanted to give a huge shout out to them on that front. Thanks, unless there's questions.
Questions for Kathy? Well put, Kath. Trustee Bowen?
When are the grade 12 assessment exams done?
Grade 12 assessments are in January and June, so it's English, Français, and all three math that happen in January at the end of semester 1, and in semester 2 it is the same ones in June. The grade 10 is an ELA and a math assessment, all happening in November.
Kathy, you did say one thing, and certainly it's about parent councils. We encourage all of our trustees is to talk to their school principals, find out about where schools are with their parent councils, get out to their parent councils. We hear a number of you that are attending the parent councils already. See about how you can help develop or work on a parent council, and if it's shoulder tapping those things with your administrator. But that is one of the things that we've talked in our strategic plan, is about going out and reaching to community. So let's continue to think about that. Thanks, Kath. We have a draft reporting schedule. It's there for information. Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the Secretary Treasurer's report. Jody?
All right, giving an update to the board, what's all taken place. So we have, we're looking for a finance manager to join the finance department team. Someone with experience with public sector accounting would be an asset. But if you're somebody who wants to try something new and learn a whole bunch of stuff about accounting with a school division, forward your resumes. The posting is closing on October 27th. In the meantime, we have a couple new faces in the office. We have Mary Trudeau who stepped out of retirement to join me and my team. She retired from the Seine River School Division. I'm really fortunate for somebody with this experience to join us in the interim. I also have to say thank you to the finance department and all the members and the staff in the SBC, or Sunrise Business Center office, for helping me out during the last week and a bit, trying to get all the documents ready for the auditors and working on year end. So it's been a lot of information sharing and highs and lows in the office, but everybody's coming together, which is fantastic. The next thing I wanted to share is transportation. October 16th to the 20th is Bus Safety Week, so the department is starting to roll out their evacuation drills. But we wanted to remind the public, and the little saying here, when the lights are flashing, don't be passing. It's a reminder to the public because even though we've been 1 month into the school season, we have seen folks getting ticketed because they are passing when the sign is out, the lights are flashing. So it's sad to hear that, but I want to say kudos to the bus drivers bringing it to our attention and enforcing the rules of the law, or the rules of the street, so we can make sure that our kids are safe at school or going to and from school. We also have an update with ICT. We are working on the computer renewal project. Today was a big moving day for the department. Unfortunately, with the rollout, we were only able to be successful at Ecole Edward Schreyer. Ecole Edward Schreyer. On the docket was Beausejour Early Years, and if that was complete, Gillis and Hazel Ridge. By the sounds of it, just the way the rollout worked, we're going to be scheduling Beausejour Early Years as well as Gillis and Hazel Ridge on October 20th. So we were pretty successful at getting a lot of stuff done at Edward Schreyer, but there's still lots to do. So again, we're trying to minimize staff and student interruptions, so we're aiming for the PD days. The other thing that the ICT department was busy with was the phone renewal project. So everybody received new phones. They have been busy, ICT department has been busy working with Rogers to discover where the echoing sound is coming from. We've pinpointed that the echoing is usually related to an analog or a landline, and for the most part it sounded like it was only in the Beausejour landline calling numbers. However, there was some anomalies that appeared last week or later in the week. So they're still flushing out that issue. So what they do know is there might be a patch or an update on the phone system that later on in the year that they'll be able to flush out that issue. So they're still working on it. And also ICT has filled the position of the vacant tech position, and they'll be starting at around mid-October in about 2 weeks' time from now.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions for Jody? Trustee Willen?
That new tech is going to be based out of Beausejour?
Yeah, I think what they're doing, they're trying to kind of rejig the geography and how we can better service the Beausejour, Whitemouth, and Powerview, Lettabonnie area. So right now it's looking like they'll be out of Beausejour, but with the ticketing system, plan days where they'll be on site in the other locations.
How many technicians do we have? 5 or 6, but we don't have somebody that's, do we have anybody that's situated up in the north?
Not at this time, no. So what we have been doing in the interim is we have one individual that's stationed out of Beausejour, and he will have certain days that he's going out on those sites, depending on the ticketing system. So if there's urgent matters, he'll go out where he needs to, and if it's for a device that can wait, sometimes it'll be a couple tickets in the queue before he travels out there, kind of to minimize cost. Again, it depends on priority too. If there's a number of devices that are down that is impacting classes period, they'd be out there to fix that.
Questions, anyone? Trustee Harris?
The computer rollout seems quite concerning, where we had great ambitions to get 4 schools done and only 1 got done. And that one school had to wait till October 3rd, a month into school, to get them. I'm sure all 4 schools would have liked to have had that September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, whatever the first day of school was. What can we do to get that done? What resources do we need? What's the plan to get this going?
I think the biggest issue is when we do a lab, we'd be disrupting the whole class while we're doing a lab renewal. We did pull in additional resources for staffing, outsourced staffing to come in and assist us as well, to actually get it done sooner. We would be interrupting the class. We basically would be coming in at some point in time during the day, taking the computer out, putting a new one in. We'd also be disrupting sometimes the secretary, the office. So that's why we're targeting PD days, when there's not as much traffic, or even parent phone calls and things like that. So we're just trying to minimize the disruption to the school itself. We do recognize, like, if there is a computer going down and being replaced, or going down that needs replacement, they'll roll out a computer sooner. So if a teacher's computer is on its last leg, the ICT department will see that and they'll roll out the computer sooner than later. So before the next PD day.
So I guess to follow up with that, the issue is we'd love to have computers out of boxes and into schools as quickly as possible. And again, I guess we're still looking for a plan and an update as to where it is. I'm sure that you don't like having computers in boxes and not available to schools. So it's really about trying to get them done as quickly as possible. And I guess what Robin was leading to, and I'm thinking, is that if we need to outsource something to get into schools, let's think about how we get hardware into schools.
There's a combination between making sure we can do it, but then there's also the hardware that we have to store for a period of time as well in the location. So we do have, should be about 300 computers still to be deployed, but we will have to store the older computers for a period of time before we can get the removal, or the company that is supposed to collect them as well. So we have certain dates for sure. We're also being mindful of the budget, because we don't allocate additional resources for outsourcing for additional support.
Schools still have the old computers, so it's not that the students don't have computers. It's just that they don't have the new computers. Is that right? So it's not so bad.
Correct. Yeah. As long as the computers are functioning, everybody's still learning.
Are the computers functioning?
Yep.
Anyone else for Jody? Okay. Thanks, Jody. Board business. So you have monthly enrollment, Kathy, that you've shown. Do you want to add anything to it? So we have one school, that's the Poverty School, where they've added 26 or 28 students based on what they were got. I think that they're rolling with it right now as to where things are. Did you want to comment on that, or go ahead?
So again, I think we have historical data on some of the transiency that we have in our schools, and so we start at Powerview School with smaller class sizes, knowing full well that that's going to happen. Want to make sure that we're not setting them up for large class sizes. We know the patterns that happen there, and I think are on top of it.
Thank you. We have grade 9 to 12 credit attainment. There's for information. Did you want to add anything, Kath?
Yes, I do. This is really, really big information. So when we start to look at our grade 9 to 12 credit attainment, you would see a little bit of what Chrissy talked about, and that is just kind of looking at the data that says that in grade 9, our success rate for students who achieve their grade 9 credits on the first go-through have the greatest success at graduating and then going on to either post-secondary learning or trade learning. So I wanted to kind of draw attention to the fact that we do have 10-block systems in École Edward Schreyer and Springfield Collegiate. We have absolutely had the conversations with Powerview and Lac du Bonnet and Whitemouth around could they want to go to a 10-block system, and the size of the school wouldn't really allow for a 10-block system. It would actually probably diminish the number of credits that kids could get because of the number of kids in each grade level. So when we look at this, sometimes we go to that inequity place, but I think that sometimes knowing that background around why they're not a 10-block is important. When you go through here, you do want to look at this and say, when I look at where all of our grade 9s are, I want to take a look at this bar and say that kids are on track with their graduation if they are at this 8, 8.5, 9, or above. And so when I look below the 8 credits and where kids are at, that's what I want to look at and say, where are we on track with that? And I can look at that and say that our schools are focused really, really well on getting kids their credits. Sometimes we look at a student who has 1 credit or 2.5 credits, and those might be students who have just joined us. Those might be students who are on individual plans. Those might be students with a whole host of issues on the go, and we do take a look at these students on student-specific planning basis so that we can kind of set them up for success as well. But when I take a look at everything that's 8 and up on this slide, I feel like we're hitting the mark in terms of those grade 9 credits. You can roll through the rest of the PowerPoint, but I wanted to make sure that when you're looking at that, you're kind of drawing that line in the sand for yourself to say where are we at and how are our students doing. Thanks.
Thanks, Kath. Any questions? Trustee Dent?
Sorry, I had a question back one about student enrollment. I thought we kind of went over that pretty quick here. So the monthly enrollment 8.1. There was 2 documents here, so I thought maybe we'd lead conversation in the second document. So I was looking at this the other day, and I'm just wondering if you can provide a little bit more context for me in my thinking when it says that we're staffed for, and the staffing for on, I think, 7 schools or 8 schools is less than the attendance we have at those schools. I'm wondering what that means, because I don't know, when I look at it, I'm kind of concerned when I see, like, we're staffing for 20 less students than we have attending.
So again, what we do is we take a look at that, and our projections happen in November, December, and January. And I actually look at these and think that we're really, really on track and close with them. So if I take a look at 20 students across the number of classrooms, that might be 1 extra kid or 2 extra kids in a classroom. And so when I take a look at this, we actually do some projected staffing, and our biggest hotspot is kindergarten. We're really, really guessing on the kindergarten, and so we have sort of a contingency plan for what would happen if we needed to add an extra kindergarten. But for the rest of them, we kind of have markers for class sizes and know where our thresholds are. So these numbers here, I have 0 concerns about what the class sizes are in any of those schools, and think we're pretty darn close to our guesstimation. It's tougher to overstaff and then say, oh my goodness, we've got to now collapse the classroom as opposed to putting some of the additional resources in. So we're always going to want to be a little conservative when we staff for, but it's a great, great question.
Did you have a follow-up? Okay, anyone else? It is a good question, because some of you are looking at it, and I'm just going to pick a school. Do you know what? I'll go back to Powerview. It said staff of 422 and they have 449. So they have 27 more kids. Does that 27 more kids, and what Kathy just answered is, does that mean we have classrooms of 35 kids or something like that? Well, 27 kids over kindergarten to grade 12 dual track you know what, how is it? How have they been able to put things? Yeah, there's some large classes, but you know what, I think that they're, and you heard from them today, yes, of course, if they can never get more, great. But, you know, you take a look at any of these schools, again, 20 kids isn't really that far off on, you know, when we're going to take a look at how we staff schools. Fair comment? Anyone else? Okay. Divisional PAC. So 8.3. Policy says that we have a divisional PAC meeting. I guess the question is, do we want to have a divisional PAC meeting? I know policy says that we're supposed to. And if we are, what's our topic? When is it and time? So really that's what Kathy's asking us, is that, yeah, we do have policy. When's the last time we've had a divisional PAC meeting? I don't know, 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago? So we haven't had one. And the question is, what's the value for someone to come, for us just to say we're just going to have a, you know, big group hug? Of course we're not. What's the topic as to where we are? Does that need to be solved tonight? It does need to be solved pretty quickly as to us taking a look at it. But it's really about, is there a topic? I guess the better question is, how many schools have PACs? I guess round table, Melissa, how many schools in your area have PACs?
Oakbank Elementary has not a PAC, but a playground. SMS technically doesn't have a PAC, but they are trying very hard to create one. They just can't get enough members for their constitution. And last I heard, SCI had a parent that was interested, but they haven't been able to formalize anything either.
Diane?
One.
So Dougal has one, Whitemouth has one. Alicia? So nothing at Edward Shire? Okay.
Anola has one, and Hazel Ridge is, I don't know, they haven't committed anything yet this year.
Okay. And Dustin, that was
Same
spoken
deal
for?
with Melissa, yeah, same information.
Yeah.
Gillis has one.
So Gillis has one. And Powerview hasn't met in a little while. They're working on it, but I don't think that they've met in a little while. So, oh, I'm sorry. Russ, your schools? PACs, go ahead, Russ.
I think just Centennial.
Hey, thanks, Russ. So Centennial. So what I'm counting is we got Centennial, Oakbank Elementary, Dugald, Whitemouth, Bossier Earliers, Anola, Gillis, and I'm not sure Powerview. So we're almost half do, half don't. What do we want to do? Do we need to think about it, Lorraine?
Could maybe leave it for now and wait and do something maybe in spring? Like some of our parent councils they haven't had any meetings yet. And maybe get a feel from them, you know, would you be interested? I mean, everybody's lives are so busy, you don't want to add something more to their plates. It's hard to even get people to sit on these positions, let alone add another meeting. Maybe we could get a feel and see what they would have in mind, what they would like to come in here. Like I say, probably a lot of them haven't even started up much yet.
Diane?
Similarly, I was going to say if, I know we generally have had it, when we have had it last was in the fall time, but maybe another date in the spring would be better. I'm sorry. And have an opportunity to get more organized.
So are we then asking Kathy to remind us in December, January about us looking at PACs and about having a divisional PAC meeting for us to go ahead and do that? Alicia?
Can we send a letter to the schools and see if they're interested in having one? And if so, what topic would they think would be beneficial?
So a letter to the existing PACs? Yeah, we could. Obviously what I've learned over my years is don't pick a topic and think that everybody wants it and they're going to come. because that hasn't necessarily happened. It does need to come from grassroots kind of thing is what you're talking about, as to where it is. Remember, one of the things that we said that we wanted to work on as a group is really about reaching out to our constituents, reaching out to our members to find out as to where things are going. So how about if we, for the Springfield Middle Schools, the SEIs, the Edward Schreiers, the Hazel Ridges, the Power Views, why don't we come back at our next meeting and saying, have you had a conversation with your administrators and where are you with those conversations? And for the schools that have good ones that are going, I guess OBE would be in that conversation as well, even though they have a playground committee. But I think Centennial, Dugald, Whitemouth, Anola, Gillis have PACs. I'm sure that, I think the other one, the Oak Bank Elementary and Powerview, I'm not sure if they have a real thriving PAC in the last little while. So we okay to reach out to them and then come back and let's do some more talking about it? Can we keep this then as an agenda item, and let's put this on here as an agenda item, standing agenda item until we get there? Do you want to comment on anything? Are we good with that? Okay. School. Did you want to say something? Go ahead.
I'm just thinking ahead. When's budget time? When do we end the budget? That month. First March meeting. So we're into, the spring's just happened. I was hoping that we could meet with our PACs in their regularly scheduled October meeting and get ideas from them and say, we have a meeting scheduled for, say, the end of November. And then we have a month to get everything in place. However, if schools haven't even met yet, I guess that's not an option. I'm just having... That was my thought. And rather than waiting till the spring. Because PACs want to get stuff going now for the whole year, so... Yeah, we missed it by a day. So, yeah. Anyway.
So let's keep it as a standing item, certainly under board business. Let's get the people that need to reach out to the SMSs, the SCIs, the Edward Schreiers, the Hazel Ridges, the Power Views, reach out, because we'll ask you when we come around again, what was the conversation like? The Oak Bank Elementaries are probably in there, but I think that everyone else, Centennial, Whitemouth, Anola, Gillis, you do have active, Dugald, you do have active PACs. And Kath, I would say that mention to your administrators that trustees are going to be reaching out to the administrators to talk about where are we with our PACs. Okay. School tour. Kathy's got one. Do you want to go ahead, Kath?
We had talked about that we didn't visit SCI and EESS last year because they had major construction. So they are slated to be done at the end of October. We've given them a month's grace, and we have looked at November 30th as a time when both Derek and Jody and Kathy are available to take you on a tour of those recently renovated sites. We added Gillis to the tour because they're partway between the journey from SCI to ESS, and then that would leave a series of schools for the spring in the Anola, Dugald, and Richland, Grafton area. So that kind of completes our tour. Mark your calendars. We're looking at November 30th.
Feedback or questions? Great idea, Kath, from my part. We're good like that? Yeah, good, Kath. Thank you. Subdivisions. You have that for information. Jody, did you want to add anything to that? Subdivision in Springfield?
Yeah, I do. It's, I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the board. We have spoken about this proposed subdivision. They had an open house in Dugald a while back, and now they made a formal application. So it's doing its rounds to the necessary public bodies, and this subdivision, should it happen, will have a huge impact on our enrollment at schools. It is a large development with multi-unit residential, so that could be fourplexes and triplexes. It also could mean duplexes and single dwelling units. Not everybody's going to have kids that go to our school, but there's a good chance that there will be. So I anticipate, and we put in the letter, that it will have a big impact on our school. And with the development in Springfield, in past developments, they did not put adequate sidewalks for students. So we indicated in the letter that there should be adequate sidewalks and adequate busing or bus pickup locations, especially in the multifamily units. That's where we sometimes find that there's multiple kids in a tight area, and the buses really are challenged to get around and maneuver and have safe pickup locations. So we really hope that that has been identified. I was fortunate that I did speak with the developers a long time ago, identifying those issues as well. I do notice that they have made some locations where there's the main area to drive around, but there's also kind of like a side road that I think will assist with our bus pickups and things like that. But it is going to have an impact in our enrollment and student count. So I really hope that the school division or Springfield will work with us to collect our dedication fees.
Jody, is it worthwhile, and I haven't spoken to you about this, and Kathy, is it worthwhile that if there is a large division like this, you know, it's going to impact our schools, our trustees in the area need to be involved, certainly with the municipality. We need to be talking with the municipality if this is going on, because we're talking about, in the letter that you wrote, Jody, it's clear that we're almost at capacity in some of our schools, and for us to entertain a development like this, we need to be then lobbying the provincial government if this is the case. And I do think that we probably want to get ahead of this as opposed to being behind this. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm suggesting, but it's almost like we need to, I'm thinking, Jody, that we probably need a committee with yourself, and not for our trustees to get their fingers in anything except for lobbying with the VRM and lobbying with the provincial government about where this could potentially go for us. I'm speaking, and if anybody wants to jump in on this, let me know. Go ahead.
Is this an area where we should be asking for land for a school rather than money?
Yeah, this could be potentially, but in discussions with them, they were not, the size that we need for a location, we need at least seven acres. That's our footprint for our smallest size, for adequate parking and playground and areas like that. I think the commercial area where they have along the highway, it didn't fit our footprint that we were asking for. But at the same time, it's still something that we could have a communication with the school or with the municipality as well, when we're looking for dedication fees or dedication of land.
So Jody, I'm thinking that if we ever do have my question is that if we ever do have a meeting with the municipalities, and we've met with them before, I think that probably our 4 local trustees should be involved with that kind of a conversation. If they're what am I looking for? If their elected officials are involved as well, because this is something that if we don't plan for it, it's going to blow up in our 4 local trustees if we don't go ahead and plan for it. I'm not sure what I'm exactly looking for, but what I'm looking for is that if we need to start lobbying the RM and the provincial government, then I think that our 4 local trustees need to get involved. Fair enough? 4 local trustees? Trustee Dent?
Are you suggesting that we have something prepared for when we meet with the RMs on the 23rd?
I don't think that it's a bad idea that we try to find out from them as to how close is this going, and letting them know that our schools are at capacity in the Oakbank area. And to think that if we're going to go ahead and have this kind of a development, and if it's going to get built in 2, 3, 4 years, and we're bringing in X amount of kids, now we don't know how many X amount of kids, but we need to plan. We need to be getting on the radar of the provincial government about building us a school. Is that fair? Trustee Rowland?
Jody, do you know when this is going to be going in front of council for approval?
I don't think I saw the timeline yet in the application. What the province is doing is they're circulating the document, so I don't have a timeline, but I could put it out to the planning department to find out, to notify me when it's actually going to be put forward and notify the board.
There's nothing wrong with the comment that you made, is that we're meeting with the municipalities and start the 4 local trustees, have a conversation. If you're going to that municipality meeting, have a conversation is, okay, you know what, we've got wind of this, you know, where is this? If they're saying it's 10 years away, then fine, but, yeah?
I think you have an opportunity on the 23rd of October to remind some of the municipalities about the Land Planning Act and what those implications are from both the school division standpoint, from the RM standpoint. After that, I think there may be some value in requesting it as a delegation of the RM meeting and going as a school board or a group to formally present the school division's concerns, because then it's on record. We've had great meetings and we want to collaborate, but at the end of the day, it needs to be on record that this is something that we've brought forward to our RMs where this might be an issue that's going to come up. So I think that might be some of the planning that group could maybe tackle. But the first step might be the October 23rd meeting to remind folks how important this is.
With that? Because I think that's really something that's important with the Oak Bank areas, Springfield areas. Thanks, Kath. Okay. 8.6, be it resolved, the board approve in principle Whitemouth School field trip to Scotland and Ireland, spring break, subject to the superintendent's final approval. That's awesome. Moved by Trustee Nichols, seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions to it? Are they taking you along, Don? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. That's awesome. Kathy's saying is that it's a pretty good idea for a superintendent to go to. All right. Oh, okay, there we go, that's right. Okay. Committee reports, update, policy committee, Trustee Nichol.
We don't have a meeting yet until October 16th, so there's nothing to report.
Perfect, thank you. We go to finance committee, Trustee Boytson. Any updates?
Jody covered most of the stuff in her presentation. The only thing I wasn't sure of, and I did send you an email today, whether we need a motion for the recommendation that was for an interim finance manager. I know that I think you said that if it's an interim, you don't need one, but then in the minutes it did say that it was recommended that we have a motion. I just wasn't sure.
So do you know what, something could come out of in camera, we just haven't got to it in camera yet. So there could be something that'll come out of in camera. Thank you. And so signing authority for the October is Trustee Harris. We have finance meeting minutes. We don't have to approve these minutes. Okay. So the finance meeting minutes are there. Any information from anyone? Any questions? Okay, hearing none. We have a check register, so be it resolved, the board received the July 2023 check register with a total amount of checks issued at $1,132,190.06 received on September 21st by the Finance Committee for information as submitted. Moved by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll...
Which one is,
That is...
what number is this?
This is, Russ, this is 8.11.
Okay, I see it. I may lose you guys. My phone is deep, running out of power.
Go plug it in.
It's a handheld landline.
Cordless phone?
I'll try and get it over.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to
Okay.
vote. So it passed, 9-0, thank you. We are at, so another check register. Be it resolved, that the board received the August 2023 check register. Total amount of checks issued at $2,518,359.58. Reviewed on September 21st by the Finance Committee for information. Moved by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Rowe-Wynn. Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. That's 9-0, thank you. 8:13 is the Finance Committee, the Education Finance Committee. We have a meeting scheduled for October the 24th. Anything else that you want to talk about, Jody? That's just basically information? Okay. So it's scheduled for the 24th. Thank you. Professional development. So I have a couple of things here that, we have MSBA on the 23rd and 24th. Jody has not heard from many of you, so you need to let her know what's going on. Jody has booked the rooms for everyone. Stacy, I knew that. Thank you. Stacy has not heard. So she's booked rooms for everyone, but she needs to cancel the rooms by the end of October, October 23rd. So if you're not staying, please let her know. So you haven't told her, we haven't told her that, so please let her know if you've done that, the 23rd and 24th. Talk with... Also, check on October the 10th. It's the registration for Larders. Larders is the training, the collective bargaining training. Six of us are registered for the collective bargaining training. If you want to know the names, come and see me. But Stacy has given me the names of the people that are there. 2 of you have registered online, and so there's a total of 8 people that are doing that. So that's for
very close.
MSBA and going from there. Divisional Finance Summary for information, not there. Chairperson, nice to know information. So we have the meetings on the 17th. We have the municipal forum on the 23rd. We have a board meeting on the 7th. Press releases. Jody, do we have questions from the public? Okay, so we did not finish our in-camera. So Russ, we're going to go back into in-camera. We have a couple things to talk about, and there will be some motions coming out of in-camera. So let's take. Do we need a break? So let's take. We have one motion coming out of regular, and the motion is 17. Sorry, it is 17-1. So someone's going to have to help me because I don't have it on my computer screen. So the motion, be it resolved that the position of Superintendent CEO be offered to the candidate as recommended during the in-camera discussion. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Dent. If I'm not in sync, it's not on here, I'm not going to be able to vote. Is that what it is? Am I in? It doesn't show you? Might say expand the agenda that I might get it properly. All right. So I'm in the motion. I'm good. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. So it passed 9-0. Thank you very much for that. I think that we're adjourned. Is that where we are?
I think so, 9:30.
9:30, we're adjourned. I just want to say a lot of hard work about, so we will be, yeah, okay. A lot of hard work over the last little while.